What's good, everybody? We are back with another NBA Live mobile video. So today we're going to be talking about something that probably a lot of you have had thoughts about over the past few weeks, or really ever since the auction house changed in Season 2 of NBA Live Mobile. So we're going to talk about a few things before we get into it, just to give you guys some context for everything and a little bit of understanding, in case you don't know how the auction house works. Before we get into the video, make sure you guys drop a like down below. We're going to go for 1,000 likes on this video. I know y'all can smash it. And also make sure to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. We are on the road to 100K, and we are moving up there fast. So we're going to try to hit it before the end of June. That would be crazy. I know it's going to be tough, but I know y'all can do it too. So make sure you guys hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Anyways, so a little bit of information for you guys about the auction house. So in Season 1, the auction house functioned as an actual auction house. Players put other players on the auction house, and then, in return, other players bought them off the auction house. In Season 2 of NBA Live Mobile, that changed. So it's no longer players buying from other players. It is now bots buying from players and then relisting the items on the auction house so that other players can buy them. The system works if the bots function like actual players would. And I know EA has a really complex system that not everybody is going to understand how to use. Not everybody's going to really see everything that happens behind the scene, but for the most part, the concept should be the amount of players supplied and the price at which, or the amount of players demanded and the price at which they're demanded should then translate into bots on the auction house buying players that are supplied. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like that's the case for a number of reasons. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into what one of the EA developers has said about the auction house, his detailed explanation of how he thinks it's not broken, and then I'm going to explain to you guys why that assumption is wrong and give you some examples that I've seen in the game with my own experience on the auction house. So if you look right here, this guy, EA developer, so he is one of the developers for the game. He makes NBA Live Mobile. So he is in control of the auction house and how everything works. He clearly knows what he's talking about. He's not going to be making stuff up. This is like straight from somebody who's making the game. So this is all from his Twitter, but essentially the title of this is Auction House is Broke AF, and this is his response. So he did some investigation to a lot of different data points because he's heard from a lot of people that they're having a tough time selling cards. It's hard to explain because it's a super complex system, which makes sense. It's meant to imitate real people, which is a tough thing to imitate. First thing I did was look at coin balances for the last 2 months. He said for no money spent players, the median amount of coins, so that means if you're looking at 100 players, and obviously there's more than 100 players, but say there's 100 players, he's looking at, if you rank them all in the number of coins that they have, looking at the 50th player. So the 50th player between all these players has 14,000 coins, which is not going to buy you a whole lot. Obviously, that's going to be changed a little bit by people that are no longer active, etc. But overall, median player is 14,000 coins. And then he said no money spent coin balance averages in the 90th percentile was only around 120K. So say you have it ranked 1 through 100 players. The 90th player, so actually the player that is ranked at number 10 and who has the most coins in the auction house, that player is going to have around 120K. So if you're in the top 10% of players in NBA Live Mobile, in regards to how many coins you have, you're going to have about 120,000 coins. That makes the majority of 101 plus players in the auction house out of reach for players to buy. This causes an increase in supply, so more players are trying to sell their 101s because you can get them without spending money, while there's technically still a demand for those cards, but they're priced out of reach for the main market. So basically, the bots aren't buying up those players because there's not enough demand for the players. The reason that there's not enough demand for the players is that people don't have coins. But the reason that people don't have coins isn't because they don't know how to use the auction house. It's not because they don't have players that they can sell on the auction house. It's because the auction house isn't functioning the way that it should. And I'll give some examples for how I have proof for that in a little bit, but we're going to keep going. So the other big difference is that we're adding more things for players to spend coin on, obviously coin packs, to help progress through different programs and things. This is causing coin balances as a whole to decrease, which makes sense. People are going to be more likely to spend their coins on something for a newer player rather than an older player because most people are trying to upgrade their team. However, we're still seeing with those additions, seeing the volume of coins being spent on the auction house stay relatively the same, down less than 10%. So while the number of cards being sold is down, those being sold are selling for a higher amount. I don't think that's true. Economic behavior is difficult to predict. Yes, I understand. Where it is easier to tell if the auction house is functioning as intended, I reviewed the auction house sales data and can verify that cards do continue to be posted, sold, and claimed. I guarantee you the percentage of cards posted, sold, and claimed is not what it should be. I would say it should be a much larger percentage. There's a clear flow of interaction with the auction house, so while it technically isn't broken, the user experience can feel that way. So I am going to give you guys some examples of proof that the auction house is actually broken. So right now we are looking at my auction house sales. Obviously, these are not selling for what I would hope. I don't think 100 overall cards should be selling for 82,000 coins, especially given the amount of work put in to get those cards. Now that being said, these are older cards. Most people aren't using 100 overalls anymore, so it's understandable. But if you look through, there's a little bit of inconsistency for what players are selling for. So you see I have a 99 right here. And by the way, the only way that I've been able to get these players to sell is by putting them for a starting bid of 101 and a buy now price of 99,999,999 coins. So basically 8 nines in a row. That's the only way that I've found that you can actually get your cards to sell in the auction house. There's some posts on Reddit that would say that there are specific prices, but for me, that's been the only way that I can get players to sell. So you'll see I have a 98 right here that sells for 93,000, whereas my 99 right here, which actually gives a boost, the Giannis does not give a boost. No boost at all, except to all-star votes, which are no longer used, but goes for almost 2/3 of the price, maybe even less than 2/3 of the price. So that doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense. And then my next 99 sells for 53,000. 40,000 less coins than the other 99. That the Porzingis sells for 42,000. So less than half. Same position, same exact position. This Porzingis, I believe, okay, it doesn't give a boost, but regardless, doesn't really make a difference. Same position, same overall, sells for less than half the amount of coins. So obviously there's some type of issue with the auction house if there's very little difference between these. Honestly, Porzingis probably has even better stats than Giannis does and is selling for less than half the price. And those were sold on the exact same day. Let me give you some other price points. We got a 97 point guard selling for 63,000. Meanwhile, our 97 small forward is selling for half the price. Our 94 overall, we got a 93 overall right here, point guard, selling for 42,000, but my 97 overall sells for 33,000. So obviously there's some kind of issue in the way that the auction house is working right now. It doesn't make any sense that my 92 point guard sells for 14,000 coins. Meanwhile, my 91 point guard sells for 29,000. In an auction house where actual people are buying the cards, that's never going to happen. And you can see none of these are buy now prices. Like, these are bots bidding on these players, but it seems like there's no discernible type of pattern for how the bots are doing it. If my lower overall card is selling for double the amount at the same position, that literally there's no way that makes sense. And then here's where we get to the really interesting stuff. So you see my 89s are selling for around 8,000. It makes sense that there's not a huge demand for 89s on the auction house, given that EA is giving them away like rocks that you would find on the side of the road. Like, just straight up giving them away. Literally any program that you play, you're going to find 89s. Like, if you play the live events like 2 times, that's what you're going to get. And then these are some players that I've started to sell today. So my 101 LeBron, but I'm going to get back to these because I have screenshots to show just how broken the auction house is. If we go back to our 80, so for example, 89 Tristan Thompson sold for 8,200 coins. I'll go and show you screenshots of players that I sold last week. My 89 Tristan Thompson sold for 8,000 coins. My 71 Josh Hart sold for 10,000. But you're going to tell me that the auction house isn't broken because there's more demand for 71 overall Josh Harts than there are for 89 overalls? 95 Tony Parker selling for 72 overall Tony Parker selling for 95,000 coins. If you go over here, 72 Kevin Huerter selling for 9,800 coins. If we keep on going, Jonathan Isaac selling for 8,100, Gorgie Jang selling for 7,900. And then you look again, if we go on back, I tried buying some of those players to see if they would continue to resell at the same price because I figured maybe there's a glitch in the auction house. But you look, Jonathan Isaac sold for 2,200. Josh Hart sold for 1,700. So there's not really any type of pattern. It seems like it's almost a random amount that bots are buying players off the auction house for. It doesn't make sense. 89 sold for 8,400. Looking back, 70 sold for 8,000. So the reason that the auction house is the way that it is, one of Brian's arguments is that the reason that players are not selling for as much on the auction house is that players don't have as many coins. The reason that players don't have as many coins is because they've given up on trying to figure out what they need to sell their players for on the auction house. Because if I go to the auction house and I search for 89 overalls and I put, let's see, can I buy 89 overalls for 8,000 coins? No. Can I buy them for like 15,000? Did I do that right? 15,000? So it looks like players are selling for around 12,000 coins, but if I look at golds are not going to be selling for 10,000 coins. They're going to be going for probably, I think last time I checked, golds were going for 2,000 coins, if I'm not mistaken, around 2,000 coins. So the pricing of how auction house things sell doesn't make any sense. If we go and search for 101s, so my 101 LeBron just sold for what, 120,000 coins? If we go and search for 101s on the auction house, we actually do find a bunch of 101s in the auction house. So based off of this, it looks like 101s are selling for the correct price. But if I try to list my player on the auction house for that amount of coins, it doesn't sell for some reason. So I'm going to see if I can scroll back. Sometimes there's just random things that just don't sell for no reason. So like you'll see this is priced at 101. So it should sell for something and yet doesn't even get a single bid from a bot. You look at this, 93 overall on the auction house for 101 coins, no bids from a bot. 93 overall, no bids. 94, no bids. Like, it doesn't seem, 100 overall, no bids from a bot. So it seems like everything that's happening on the auction house, like with players that do sell, is completely random, and there's no way to predict what they're going to sell for. So in summary, yes, there are some elements of the auction house that do work correctly, but the reason that coin balances are so much lower than they should be is because people have they've given up trying to figure out what they need to sell their players on the auction house for because there's no actual pattern to it. So I don't know what needs to be done to fix this, but I would say this is sufficient proof that the auction house is actually broken. The fact that my 70 overalls sell for the same price as my 89 overalls, like, there's got to be some type of issue there. And if players don't know that they need to sell their players for a starting bid of 101 and a max price of 99,999,000 coins, and they're just going to give up on trying to sell their players, which is what I did until somebody told me that that's what you have to do to get your players to sell. So hopefully getting that information out there will help more players in the auction house to sell and help it to start functioning normally, but as of right now, it's not where it needs to be. So that's going to be it for the video. If you guys have any questions, you can comment those down below. Let me know your thoughts on the state of the auction house, and make sure you guys drop a like if you haven't already. I'll see you guys next time.